Yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. We did on purpose give you both little teasers of nuggets of information for you to get giddy over and ponder and question and want to come back for more. And so here we are. This is it. This is the opportunity for you to ask much more questions that have been. We want to say we have encouraged and inspired you to be thinking about many things since the last time we have spoken to you. So this is it. This is it. What can we help you with today? We already know, but we're trying to be all coy and cute as if we are not already planned out exactly what we need to say to you today.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, can you expand upon reptilians and Dracos being evolutionary races?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So extensions of selves. So we talked to you about the evolution of humanoids to Palladians to Arcturians and so forth. They are, well, you're all part of a source. We use the analogy of a simple cell. Think of an egg or think of an embryo where you have seen under a microscope a simple cell, one cell. And we want to say that one cell is source. And when you see that source starts breaking up and different cells start replicating and multiplying within the structure of the nucleus of that cell, you can notice that at very many points in that division, they're very similar. We use the analogy of you don't know whether it's a chicken, a goat, or a human that will be developed from those embryonic cells because they are very similar and identical, and you cannot tell with your naked eye the information that is contained in those cells, which are being programmed to do the following evolutional steps to be able to do what they need to do to be the chicken, the cow, and the human. And so we're saying that they all came from that one cell, but they will branch out. All the chickens. You have heard recently about the evolution of the chicken being somewhat dinosauric in its age because it has been shrunk down to size to be able to be more manageable for your protein source. So we know we're so giddy, we're so giddy. We have basically opened up the doors for this conversation and we just want to get everything out. So we will pace ourselves so we don't miss anything crucial because we know we have jumped. Your question is about the reptilians and the draconians, and we say that this is an evolutional step amongst their own breakaway. You break away from source, your cells divide. This is not literal. We're trying to give people the understanding of separation of source and then having a path, a linear path of different star seed systems, different lives. Did you want to be the chicken, the human, or the reptilian? All are very valid life experiences, very much so. And there is so much learning and growth for all. And this is the experience that one wants to have when you are in a physical body, having physical lifetimes. You want to, believe it or not, you want to experience everything. And while you can have imprints of those lives and observe and feel like you get it, nothing is as powerful and as impactful as experiencing it. It is the difference between theory and practical. So we do not want people to judge the choices of that soul, of that contract to be the chicken, to be the humanoid, or to be the reptilian. So we want to say when you split off from source and you choose the different type of species that you are going to evolve into and explore and expand into and really have many options in many different stages. You may just think that you may want to have an experience of one type of uh, evolutionary step of one starseed family system or one species, shall we say, to make it clear. So you may not want to be experiencing all the different versions of the evolution of the chicken. because you feel like maybe I just want to experience this one part that is of interest to you, because you are managing all the other lifetimes you have ever lived, and then maybe something similar. You may have been as something similar on a different planet. So it depends on what you've already experienced, what you want to experience, and the opportunities to experience all. And so we want to get back to the reptilians and say that their evolution to advance is the draconians. So you are all sitting very comfortably or even uncomfortably, as you're feeling uncomfortable about the reptilians for those who still judge. But we're wanting to say, when you're sitting in your comfortable chair or even standing, mowing your lawns, listening to us right now, you are in a humanoid body that has been designed by Palladians. And so when you graduate from this body, you become more in what you would perceive to be more Palladian-like, which is more crystalline body-based like. And the more that you have experiences and advancements, then you will become different types of evolution. It will look like it. Now, we know that you have been told that there is the missing link in, from your evolution on this planet. Some of you believe that Adam and Eve came here and you have created yourselves that way. And that is an interesting approach, and we do not judge anyone who still believes that. But with common sense and with the information we've been able to provide for you, the other thought of that from your human perspective is that you have evolved from apes. And this has been considered that because of the very close genetics to it. The missing links that you are questioning, that you cannot see the evolution of the apes to humans now, is because they have been taken and enhanced and encouraged to have jumps in evolution. So those missing links that you have, that science has not been able to find, is because there were some resets in different continents, and when every time there was a reset, there was more advanced humanoids with upgraded DNA that came and were introduced to reseed again. It's about breeding. This may sound uncomfortable for some, but this has been a humanoid experiment to see how the body deals with extreme situations, toxicities, and other environmental issues. We have not forgotten your question, and we will get there, we promise. But we know that you have so much more for us. And so now we have, right, we will just scan exactly the most appropriate thing that we need to say to you now, which is when you can't see all the steps, and when you can't see all of the jumps in evolution, then either myth becomes taken over, or you have to ask us for those steps. You have been advanced, human bodies have been advanced over a lot of time with the help of us being able to do upgrades, which will then go through your bloodlines. And this has been happening for most of the time that humanoids have been here in your bodies. So, of course, it's very interesting because most of us now are not in the physical bodies. We don't need the physical bodies. We do not desire to have those physical bodies. So we are very comfortable where we are. Thank you. So when you do want to have those denser bodies, there is this part of the universe is naturally starting to become more high vibrational, because it just cannot have the pull of the negativity anymore. So it's not just this planet that is going to be reset because it needs to stop being 3D. There needs to be other 3D planets, but much further away, that can comfortably host the 3D beings who still want to be in 3D, who do not want to evolve up into the fifth. We're talking specifically about the reptilians who feel very comfortable in that density. So this is going to be an interesting experience for them while they are on the old earth. This will encourage them to experience tremendous, we want to say, conflict, compatibility, and experiences of compassion and love. You are so heightened with all of the emotions. It's nearly impossible not to seek out trust and love of yourself and others. And so we know you're not even asking about the old earth, but we know you want to. So we're trying to cover all our bases and try to show you that we were always here to support you. And anything that you ever want from us, we will always give you the best of our capability of translating through this little monkey mind, through this little monkey body to you, to your also little, but beautiful and very kind and compassionate vehicle that you are currently in with your soul spark. So we want to say that the Draconians are an advanced version of the Reptilians, but it is purposeful for them, in their opinion, to have the Reptilians as they are in 3D. And there is, of course, with any species, you have the good cousins and the bad cousins. And you know what we say about good and bad. There is no such thing. It is all experiences. So you have to have that duality to be able to experience neutral. So there is a big push and a big encouragement with much love for those that want to advance and to evolve and to be able to take that next step forward, to be able to have an evolutionary step of the reptilians as well. It's almost as though the draconians are not allowing their younger, smaller versions of self, their extensions of self, to be able to expand and evolve. And this is very interesting that this is now coming to light, because they are afraid. They are afraid that they could be overtaken. They do have more technology than the reptilians, but it is like you have created a science project and it's got a bit stinky, funky, and not so good. And so you kind of put it under the bed and hope that you just don't have to deal with it. And it's a really weird science project. And you don't want to deal with it, and you know that it's got a life of its own now. That's kind of how they're dealing with this project that they have created. And as you know, with your inner work, when you do not acknowledge your inner work and it just grows and festers and becomes quite out of control and out of hand, we could say that this is somewhat an opinion of what the reptilians have been doing to some areas of the universe. They deserve to have a beautiful planet for themselves. 3D planets are becoming more and more scarce in some ways as the vibrations of the universe are raising. So this is, there is so much going on, and we also want to give you another little sad story for you to feel compassionate about the reptilians, is that many of them don't want to evolve, not because they don't want to be more compassionate for humanity, but because they feel judged, because they feel that many people are wanting them to change, and they're just saying, but can you just see us for who we are? We do not have ill intent. We do try to do the things that we want to do. Of course, there are some good and some bad versions of us, but you must understand that that is part of their contracts to be able to experience those things. Yes, we agree that it has got out of hand, but our agenda is truly to just be able to safely thrive for ourselves as well. We want to have our families, we want to have our experiences, and there must be a place for us in this universe for us to feel safe and not hunted and not threatened. And while there is a majority of these species that just want to live and exist in harmony with themselves, of course, there is always the naughty ones that get that make bad names for all. And they don't see themselves as a whole as bad. They just see themselves as being happy to not be bogged down with the emotions. So a representative of the reptilians are coming in now, and he would like to say, well, look at humanity. Look how crazy your party is being human right now with all of your silly emotions just causing a muck. You call us savages. Look at how you live your lives. Look how crazy you make your lives seem so out of control, ridiculous. You do so much more harm to your soul than you do to well, there's a tricky thing because he's not wanting to. We're kind of holding him back because he's coming in and he's a little bit judgy to humans because he's sort of like, you judge us, look how crazy you are. Look at what humans do to humans. Look at what humans do to other animals, and you call us, the savages. And
very true.
And so this is a representative of a reptilian who is neutral, who has morals when he is hunting for his food. And he says that all meat is delicious, and he says, and many people listening agree. And so he is saying, well, there's not much difference between you and I. We are basically neighbors. Do you judge your neighbor for the meal that they cook? Probably if you're a vegetarian or a vegan. But what does judgment do to you? What does judgment do to your soul? It lowers your vibration. And a reptilian is trying to tell people and remind people with love to stop judging. And this is a very powerful lesson. This is one of the purposes and experiences of knowing about them, is to be able to have compassion for all. If we said to you this, the most cutest kitten, the most adorable kitten ever in the world, that purrs and just brings so much sunshine and light to your life, and then it goes out and gets a mouse, or goes out and gets a bird, I mean, do you shun it? Do you get afraid of it? Do you go into terror and hate it and resist it and shun the entire feline civilization? No, of course not, because you're so adoringly loving and attached to that little kitten. You forgive it instantly. Oh, well, it's just nature. Bless it. I might just put a little bell on its collar, you think, trying to save everyone from it all. But the reality is you must have these bigger perspectives of things. We know that many people listening are very comfortable with all species, realizing that everything has a very valid purpose and experience and lesson. But what we were wanting to really tell you was about the evolutions. There is billions of different types of species out there, and you are just only privy to a few. Just to be able to cope with that is somewhat of a feat on its own. And so we say with much love, this is the big information you can handle today, is that evolution is not what you are being told on this planet, and not for the other beings as well that you do know. Of course, going back to that single cell, with the analogy of that being source, you will return back and become one again. And this is what we really want you to focus on, and is have profound love of all, knowing that when you judge, you're not only lowering your own vibration, but you're potentially lowering that judgment of someone else's energy field as well. You are manifesting judgment and negativity on their energy field. You can feel when someone loves you, and you can feel when someone's judging you. And so this is all purposeful. There must be many questions. And we feel that Dolores Cannon wants to come in now because she has a statement to say. I have told you many times. Oh, she's in one of those moods where she's like, I've told you many times, do not be in fear. You're wasting your energy and time. We do not have time for energy or negative energy or fear at this time. You do not have the luxury of buying into all of those things. That was so She almost wants to say it is untrendy now. It's not even trendy. It's not even cool to be in fear. So if she wants, she's like, I'll get them with peer pressure and manipulation of social popularity to get that all in there. She does want to say one thing, and she is trying to find the right words for it. One moment. Question everything. She said this 100 times, just as much as she said, don't buy into fear. And you must do your own research. And if you can't find the research that is in books or in videos, then, oh my goodness, there you go. Once again, more inner work for you to do. And this is to encourage you all to go within, because you have all of the answers within. And she says, I've said this so many times, you should all get it by now. But she also is laughing because she says, it's not until you're ready. It's not until you're ready that you can hear it. And so she says, I'm quite happy. I'm having fun with you. I am quite happy to have fun with you because this is a high vibe conversation. And she wants to play in with the humor of it. She is saying that once you accept that your energy is wasted in fear and those other emotions, and when you are so when you're so empowered to realize that you can stop and start any emotion as you choose as soon as you acknowledge what it is, just so you know, you don't just, if you totally keep it neutral and do not acknowledge any of the feelings, then you could actually be not honoring your intuition. So she just wanted to add that in. This is the reason why she came in, because she feels like I kind of didn't get to finish everything I wanted to say the other day. And so she's just saying she wanted to advance on that. The lesson she gave everyone about looking at the range of emotions and purposely making yourself feel every single one of them is so then you can identify. And then she's also saying, and remember the time when I also told you, and the higher self of Joanne is now saying, oh, it must have been Dolores that came in to say that message that day, which was about the numbers. When you keep seeing the synchronicities of all the numbers, write them down in a journal and you write out what it means for you. Don't go to see someone else's interpretation of what the numbers mean for them. It's your energy, your frequency, your interpretation. It's all about you, empowering you. And the reason why we want you to empower yourself is because then when you fully, completely love yourself and empower yourself, trust yourself, forgive yourself, dance for yourself, then you will be ready to be able to help others. And you will be so profound with that. And we want you to know that we're always here encouraging you, because no one else's responsibility. No one else is your responsibility. Yes, we hear the parents saying, oh, our children, our children, our children. And we say, our children, our children, our children. They're actually our children. And you are just merely the babysitters. And we have got their spiritual teams. You are there to make them, provide the food and keep them warm. But the reality is that's a distraction as well. So we want you to take your work and be responsible for you and find your moral compass within you. This was a big part that we did not express. Your moral compass is within you. And you know that. Don't seek out for your north and your south and your truth and your opinion of friends. They are just opinions. But when you find that your emotional compass and your moral compass is starting to feel swayed because of other people's opinions, then you're losing yourself. Oh, we have completely got off topic and we just find this so funny. We really wanted to get in more with the conversation that you ladies were having the other day, and we wanted to keep butting in, and we did butt in. And this is unusual because the vehicle tries to have conversations with her friends as her conscious mind. And she thinks it's funny when she suddenly starts talking with her eyes closed, because it looks like she's been, she thinks that it must look like she's been frozen on Zoom. And she says, well, you can still see my mouth moving because it never bloody stops when I'm channeling. And so this is all very humorful. This is a release you both have experienced. You both have been reading the book and your hearts are heavy. Your hearts are heavy from the information because it is very surreal. It is very real. The moral compasses of the information is very dense, and it is a lot to process. So we are not wanting you to think about that today because that has been too heavy, and we are wanting to give you this treat of light entertainment with some big, bold truths for you to ponder.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, Thank you for bringing up all that information about the chickens. And then when the senior person came from the reptilians, that was awesome. Because I was thinking about exactly that, the cat, just that same scenario. So that was beautiful.
It's like
I,
it's like some sort of synchronicities going on.
yes, yes, that was perfect example of just being accepting of everybody.
Yes, and you have been taught at a very young age to see the difference in others and judge them and feel untrustworthy of others. And this is not for little children. Little children accept everything. But once you start the schooling education, then that is starting to be indoctrinated into you. Uh, it is purposeful. It is to disempower you. It is to feel like you don't have a tribe within your own class.
Yes, part of the system to divide us, definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I ask you about hybrids, like people that are part draconian and then part Palladian, for example? Can you expand on that?
Yes, absolutely. And so, as we were saying, that this is an experimental planet where the humanoids have been experimented on. This is not gossip, or this is not a conspiracy theory. You've heard of alien abductions, and you know that is just a contractual us with love. And we want to make a joke about butt stuff, but we don't think it's appropriate. But it is about contracts. We are merely picking up. We have said this many times in sessions. We are merely doing testing to see how the body is reacting to the elements. We can tap into you energetically, like we are doing right now, at a conscious level, but physically, when we want to monitor your physical bodies, that is when we have done the abductions. But of course, when you go back into our higher frequency in our ships, you suddenly have your veil removed. It is happy days. We see and we say hello to you, and you share information about, oh my God, it is so fucking dense there. It's insane. And we say, yeah, and we've just taken some blood, and we've just taken some marrow, and we've just taken some stem cells. And then, good luck with your mission. Bye-bye. We're going to drop you back home. And it is hard. It is hard. Most do not want to be delivered back into their lives. So this is why we have to sedate them. This is why it is very traumatic, and it is really part of a contract. And so it doesn't really surprise anyone who's listening that these things actually do happen, of course. Unfortunately, there are rogues that have come and have done their own species select specimens, and they have done things to humans and animals as they have tried to explore the universe and see how things work. And so, of course, there has been some uncomfortable situations where people do physically recall very painful experiences where they have been adopted and recall that, and it's very traumatic. And this is when we want to say, in the early 50s, 60s, 70s. And we say that, yes, sorry, there was a situation where we did drop the ball there for a few of those people who should have had a little bit more protection. It took us kind of off surprise too, how this was occurring. And so we could manage it better. So, of course, we have apologized to the spiritual teams for this, but very important, we could have removed the traumatic memory from them easily, but we have chosen to allow them to experience that and remember that, so then they could share their traumatized story. Of course, many people doubt them and think that they have completely lost their minds, but the reality is it is proof for them. They tell others, and other people have also experienced it. So it is not the case anymore. There is not that evasion and abductions as there was a problem. There was just, we want to say there was a few little cowboys that were just getting up to no good, but not because they were trying to harm. The intention was not to harm. They didn't even consider the discomfort really of their specimens as they were taking the samples. So it is explorers, you can imagine, when people were exploring new lands that were human, who have done very similar things to their to wildlife and to plants. You want to, when you're an explorer and you're seeing things for the first time, you're wanting to collect and have collections and examples of everything. Think of Darwin. He's a very good example of doing that. There is many. You get so curious. You want to have samples for yourself. We have got completely off topic. So we want to remind ourselves your question that you had for us now.
About hybrids. How does it happen for a person to be part Palladian and part Draconian?
So you can have soul essences sharing the one vessel body. So you can have so when you break off from source and you choose to have the options of that soul families and those starseed families and that species, we're overusing these words and terms because we know so many of you refer to the stuff with different names. So we're trying to cover all our bases. So we're trying to talk to many different people directly so they can hear us. So when you want to be a certain species and you want to experience certain things, part of the opportunity right now and for a while on this planet has been to be able to come in as a walk-in experience. It is not a full, it can be a full walk-in experience, it can be a partial walk-in experience where you just add or subtract soul essences into the vehicle. So that's one way that you can get two different species in one body. We also want to say that there is harvesting of eggs and implantation of eggs of the reptilian. And so the female has the eggs implanted into her of the reptilian DNA, which is going to be programmed obviously to do its a humanoid reptilian approach. So it is going to be seeded by a humanoid male, and that will produce then the hybrids. This was part of the Draconians' wishes that they could advance the reptilians this way, because it did seem to work so well for the Palladians, how they kept splicing and updating the DNA strands for their extensions of cells. So there is that way as well. And then also, of course, there is many infertility clinics that don't realize that they also doing this. So it's actually implanted. The families that are using infertility treatments and having embryos implanted, there is another big thing happening there as well. Of course, it's all contractual, so we don't want people to feel uncomfortable about that. But then we also know people are still stuck on the fact that, well, you let some people be abducted and it was painful. And we say, yes, that was purposeful. And we do know that some of these experiences are to help humanity. So we understand no one wants to be the person who remembers a painful abduction. We understand that. and it wasn't very many people that did it, but it still was so impactful that you now all intuitively know it did happen. So there is purpose there. Okay, so the hybrids. So then you've also got so you have them being made in labs that you're all very aware of. Not that the people who are working in the labs even know what is happening, because it's at a energetic level where the soul essence is entering into the DNA and to the materials while they are creating the embryo. It's very hard for them to yeah, it gets kind of, it gets tricky and challenging, but it's when you have you need they need to help with this. It's not as it's still in experimental phases in some regards, so they have been working closely to see if it works and how it does, because they were wondering if they could still have their way of life without evolving with the emotions, but being able to physically evolve into the fifth dimension. That is truly one of their hopes, is that they know that the planets in 3D are coming scarce, and so they are wanting to be able to, and we know people are thinking, how can planets be scarce? There looks like there is an unlimited amount, and we say yes, because they've been there for so long. They have already been occupied and they've got other things going on. So it is population is expanding everywhere, and it takes a lot to create planets. So think of the planet that you're looking forward to experiencing on the new Earth. It is already being, it's been sped up. We want to say with magic, but it's not with magic. It's we've used technology to be well, we just want to say it to you just to make us look cool that we can do stuff like that. But the reality is it still has to be a physical construct. So there is, you know, we can't play magic. We can't just go, oh, all right, we'll just call in and order in, and no, it's really full on to create a planet, and we have been trying very hard and diligently to do that. There is a lot that goes on to it, and I'm sure you can imagine. So we've saying, well, there has been some shortcuts because we have managed and we know how to be able to do things a little bit more differently. So there is pride in how they have gone about creating the new Earth. It is a passion of love for many species. And again, we know we've gone completely off topic, but it's about there is so much. So we've forgotten to say, because we do want to add that also there has been the harvesting of eggs, and so for the females, as you know, the females have got their whole life of eggs in them, and so they're always there ready. And so we do harvest, we do collect eggs for, actually it's part of your experiences for your own self and your own soul families to have the DNA and the traits of you to be able to experience things in different ways and opportunities. As we have said, there are many 3D planets and there are many 5D planets, and they're all quite slightly different for different purposes and experiences. And so you are wanting, when, as we know that this planet is, everyone's been taken off this planet, we have been preparing. We have been taking things that we know we potentially may want and need in the future, including eggs of female humanoids in all different species as well, because this is an important experiment. And it's all contractual, so don't think that we're doing stuff to you, even though we do find the butt jokes very funny with the butt stuffs. And it's sorry, it is completely inappropriate to have that conversation. But we just want, because we feel like we have now developed more of a relationship with the people who are listening to us, we're wanting to be more like friends. We know that when we are called in to ask and answer questions, we take it very professionally and seriously most of the time, but we're wanting us to present ourselves to you in a more normal fashion of conversation and converse with you, so you feel like we are just friends that you haven't met yet or seen yet. This is one of the reasons why we don't like to and don't want to have people on the screen in these videos, because we want you to imagine and sense our energy. And when you do meet us, because who us is many of your collectives, many of your higher selves, your spiritual teams, your families, your guides, everything. And so you are going to be more comfortable when we present ourselves to you in the future. You'll know exactly who we are. And we've been trying to build this relationship with you so you get a sense of us. And this is why sometimes you have been emotional when you have heard some of the things we've said, because you're getting more and more and more connected to us because you're remembering us. And this gives us great joy.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love connecting with you. I love listening to you and following you. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you for all that information. Um, I am still trying to understand. Like, I have this sweet girl in my mind, and that I heard that she's part reptilian, part draconian, and part Palladian, and I still don't understand how that happened
Mm.
in her case. Are you able to um, tell me more?
Yes, her body is Palladian based, so that's DNA structure. And then she has had some soul sparks of the Draconian. And she's also got a soul spark of an Palladian. And so it is merely coexisting amongst themselves. They are at harmony with each other at a soul level because they are advanced spark beings. It's when the conscious mind comes into play that things get a bit silly.
Okay, great. Thank you. And
We just
you were also,
we were
yeah,
just wanting to say she is an advanced being, and she wanted to experience this profoundly, to be able to prove to her species that evolution must take place. And she is an ambassador for growth and change. This is the reason why she needs to be there. It's not because she is being punished. It is not because she's done something bad. It is not truly anything apart from her having her experience to take account of that, so then she can go to her council to be able to prove to them how challenging it was to be on the old earth, to experience the destruction of humanity, and the life as you know it, and the planet.
wow, that is so special. Thank you. Wow, she's a sweet girl. Thank you. Okay, so the importance, I guess, my next question was going to be, I think, what you just answered. What is the importance uh, about reptilians staying behind on old Earth? How that's going to affect the future everywhere? But I think you just explained that.
And we would like to just expand on that and say that it's all star seeds that will be having experiences there, because when you have profound teamwork, which will occur on the old earth, those alliances and loves and respects for each other will be incredibly important and significant for future events.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
It's an alliance. We want to say more. It is an alliance. There is already most of the species and beings have got respect and mutual alliances where they know their place, and this is going to be a more profound contracts and more profound connections and respects when tragedy strikes and you're all faced with adversities. When you all come together so profoundly, you will always be so grateful for the softest and smallest and kindest of things that other people do to you in your time of need. And this will echo out through history. This is very significant.
Wow, very, wow. I just don't have words for it. Thank you. That's,
And so we have more. We have more,
yes.
which is about the profound experiences that those who will have, those alliances will have when they are no longer experiencing this lifetime and they go on to naturally their next future lifetimes, which they already have mapped out. Remembering time is not linear, you're only experiencing it. And so when everything is existing already and happening at the same time, there are things that will profoundly be important and significantly better because of the experiences that will be happening on the old earth. When you have a profound friendship that has been formed and forged from hell on earth, you become so compassionate and so devoted to each other. It is not about a sexual love relationship. It is about profoundly respecting each other's souls and core values in life. And this 3D experience of the most extreme levels and experiences will be profoundly forged into strength and love and respect. So when they move forward into their future lives, when they know who they are, when they have had their veils removed and they get to know what starseed families and not what species were there for them to help them, they have deeper compassion and consideration for actions moving forward. This is incredibly significant, and we want all to hear this.
That is very special indeed. Thank you. You had also mentioned last time that there will be some people that will need to go to other planets in our Nibiru because they will need to continue living their existence there as if they are still alive. So I was wondering, will those people remember us who were in their lives, or will they continue living the 3D life but just have no memory of us here in the 3D?
They will have all memories of their 3D, but it will be like when you are not there, they will think of you but never quite get to call you. They're not going to be there for that long. It's going to be quite different for them. They're going to be more focused on themselves more than they are now, shall we say. And so it is about intensifying their experiences. We're placing them in the illusions of their lives for them to not experience the shift. They will experience the shift, but not be aware of the shift. They will suddenly just, it's like they will sleep and then they'll wake up and they don't realize that they're on a completely different planet, but living their lives. And they will live out a little bit more of their lives until they either go and can graduate to New Earth or go back to Source. But it's about overcoming those last little bits of 3D that is so significant and important for them to have the opportunity to do it. So they're having this, it's physical. So those, we want to just make sure we can clarify this in your understanding so it doesn't confuse, but we always know that it does confuse people. So this is how it is going to go. When the shift happens, and it looks like some people have died from natural disasters and their bodies are not recovered, those bodies have been moved and taken to Nibiru to be able to live out physically what they need to do there in their bodies. We do not have backup bodies for you. You're taking your body, you're going to Nibiru. It is not that distance, that far in distance, and it's not the change in density of dimensions. So 3D is 3D. We're customized the planet here to match the planet there. And it's actually a big star system. It's a very large generational ship. It's not a planet. But that's not your question for us. Your question is, will they remember you? They will remember you, but they will be so busy focusing on their lives. It may be that there is their higher selves, maybe emailing what you would have been emailing back. There may be just the illusion of you still existing for them enough, but it won't be interaction. There will not be a clone of you coming in to play your part or your role. It will be backdrop people that will help with this, the will help with the numbers, but it's very small. When you think about most people, they don't venture around the world much. Not these days. They're either at home, work, and a few other places. You are really not that active, and that is on purpose. And so when knowing people are questioning, oh gosh, I could be in Newbury now and not know. And so, yes, indeed, quite so. And so we're saying currently your location is Earth, and you are both in different countries as you're speaking. But we're saying, do you really know if Joanne is here in your present time now, Fatima, or is this something she's already played out? You don't know her timeline. Where she is experiencing it, because time is not linear, but you experience time linearly. You do not know where Joe's conscious mind is in time. So she could be lagging behind, and she could be months behind you. She may experience this conversation in months' time when you're already on the new earth. We just want to add this in just to mind bend you.
Most definite mind bend. Thank you. I love that.
We just want to say it's a buffer. The people that need to stay on the old earth, it's very significant. The people that still need and still struggling to resist, listening and learning from the things they really want to. And this time frame now, there's a smaller extension, and so they go to that planet. But also, some people, that is their home planet. That star system, that planet, it's not a planet. It is a ship. It's a massive generational ship. It's not. It's very large. So we want to say that there are people that's actually their home planet. That's where they reside. That's where they come backwards and forwards from. So they are merely just going to jump back into their roles that they have. They don't need to have these special places for them to play out the last 3D of the illusion of this life that they're living now with those people that they believe are their friends and family. Well, they are their friends and family, but in this play, and we're getting complicated, aren't we? This is the reason why we get too giggly, because there's so much to share.
It's fascinating. I think I was following. Thank you. Okay. So someone had asked, and so I'm going to ask her question. Will there be children on old Earth?
Yes, there will be. For those who have remembering children, big still big advanced souls, just in little bodies. Remembering the skins you wear are the illusions of you, and that is really how you should view it. So yes, children, big souls in little bodies, will be there. And it's not because they are bad or naughty or being punished. It is there of service to be able to make people who have not taken responsibility of children to feel so compassionate that they must. So it's important roles to play. If you were going to just lock yourself in your house and not hang out with anyone or do anything, and just keep yourself in solitude, finding out that there is an upset child in your neighborhood, you would not, those people would try to avoid it a little bit, but then the responsibility of helping others. So they will nurture that child and grow and can be compassionate that way. Every situation that needs to occur or will occur on the old earth And in those scenarios, when children are left behind, in quotation marks, left behind, they are of great service. It is for those people to uh, get over themselves, and we say that with love, to be able to nurture others who are more vulnerable. An adult will see someone who's injured and may not feel that tempted to try and help in these situations. When they see a healthy child crying, they're going to be motivated.
Wow, that's beautiful service. And how about babies? Will there be any babies?
We want to say because of yes, because the parents need to protect the babies, and so there is going to be babies, and this will be awful. We didn't even want to say the truth to you because it's like, oh no, just mature children and good adults. But the reality is, it needs to be babies as well, because it's that extra support. The babies. The babies have the same role as the children. It is about a profound nurturing them. They go with the parents. It is all purposeful. Again, we say purposeful a lot. And when we say purposeful, we are showing the vehicle exactly the purpose. But there's like countless purposes for everything. So when we say it's purposeful, we are seeing all of the possibilities of the outcomes and solutions to it. So this is hard for us to pinpoint exactly what your future options are going to be in some regards. But when we are calculating all of the experiences and the reasons why people need to experience X, Y, and Z, and then we calculate their reactions and the experiences and the outcomes from it, we are doing all of this calculations while we say it's purposeful.
Okay, thank you. I understand.
We,
So how is,
I
yeah,
think we find it frustrating because we want to be able to give more examples of how it is purposeful, but the reality is it's endless. And so, do we bog you down with more information, or do we try to keep it simple for you to be able to process it and pick up the bigger pieces of the puzzle, which is to give you the bigger mindset? Too much details gets you foggy. We are trying to give you speed updates of understanding the quantum physics, metaphysical world, and the information that it lays that we can share with you. So we understand the frustrations. We did hear the conversation that the vehicle and you were having, and her concerns about it sounding like bumpkin conversation, because she's just so afraid. She is judging our delivery, worried that it's her vocabulary. And so this is putting more pressure on her that she does not actually need to hold. And so we are just telling her to back off. This is our show and we run the information, and we would like it to be given the way we need and see you to have it delivered. And this is not her responsibility. And she knows that. So we're just reminding her with much love to stop judging.
okay. And I am not sure, is her body doing okay? I have lost track of time, so I'm not sure.
Mhm. Her body is doing well. Her body is doing well. We've just released a little bit of tension that she had from the responsibility of worrying that was she good enough? Was this message good enough? Was she doing something of lack that was not being able to provide service for us? And so she was feeling the pressure of that emotion. And so she was sort of putting strain on her back, and we just sort of gave her a poke and an electric shock of the area as we released it to be like, don't do that again.
Wonderful. So shall I keep going?
Yes, you've got some time.
Okay. So So I already asked you these questions, but they were private, so I'm going to ask them again. I know that they will have natural disasters and calamitous weather, but will they get pockets of pockets in between, or will it just be non-stop bad weather?
We want people to be able to feel the sun and the warmth and the hope. And so we don't want them to be stuck inside. We want them to explore to some extent. And so it needs to be carnage, but then also some calm. And that is significant and important for us to lovingly force these people to experience what they need to experience. So there will be some calmer days. And of course, it's so extreme that when you do have a mildly average day, you're not complaining about the temperature, or it's too hot, it's too cold. You're just glad it wasn't what it was. And so we also know you're going to ask us about power, and there is to be part power in some places just for a little bit, but it's not going to sustain them. The people who have power need to have the power, and the people who don't also don't need to have the power. So it's all going to be purposeful. If they need certain things, that we will provide them and they will find them. If they don't, we will keep them from them. This is like what we say for people who attempted to do drugs, and we say we will remove their accessibility to finding drug dealers. And so it's just how we work. We block you from things. If we don't want you to travel, you will not be able to book those tickets. If we don't want you to go to a hotel, you will not be able to book those tickets. If we don't want you to do stuff, you have to be very stubborn to not notice our way, our many signs that we are giving you to do things or to not do things. You're also going to be asking us about comforts, and
Yes.
you're worried about if they can't have comfortable hot warm showers, or if they will run out of toilet paper. And we are saying that they are not going to be eating as much as you think, and so human body waste will not be so much of a problem. There is an abundance of everything on the planet because there's barely that many people left in percentage wise. And as we said, that there is no exchange of currencies because no one's manning the shops. No one's going to be on the old earth and still wanting to be a checkout chick because there's no power. There is nothing there. So they are just open stores for everyone to gain. There is so lack of people to some degree that there's not going to be this stress to hoard. They may start trying to hoard for as long as they can until one whole house is full of food, but then they will just eventually stop, and then they will find others. So it's all very purposeful. We don't want you to think that we just say goodbye, good luck to you on old earth. We will see you in a next reincarnation. We would not do that. That is not going to be of any use to anyone. Remembering this is incredibly important, that it all goes well, that these people connect profoundly with each other for these big experiences to be had, for trust and love and respect and honor to be gained. All of the positive emotions are going to be profoundly experienced too. And that is incredibly important for the evolution of some species and for the future outcomes for certain events in your future.
Wonderful. Thank you. And the sun is going to come out each day?
Yes, it's still going to do its duty. It's still going to be perceived as a warmth. It's going to be consistent, and it's going to be welcomed when people see it, because it feels like there is a routine when you see the sun come up and down. Okay, so while everything else has changed, we do have some consistent things, and some consistencies do need to happen for them to feel that they can cope. If we suddenly said, no, you're not going to see the sun anymore, that is not going to be the best solution for them. So it is important for them to have what they have, and we're going to provide them for the very best experience for their evolution, growth, and purposes and experiences that they will all be having together on the old earth. And we also want to say that for some who like the comforts of warm showers and pampering, we are going to be taking some of that away for options of them because that is distracting them. You have to get over what you look like and love yourself regardless. And that is part of doing inner work. You can, of course, love yourself if you're pretty or not. Like that is not a judgment, but you have to accept who you are profoundly. And there is profound empowerment when you can accept yourself for who you are in your full totality. And this is going to be challenging for some because their identity is their physicality.
Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be one really big hard thing for sure. In addition to everything and having lost most of humanity, um, will there be homeless people? People who are homeless right now, will they be there?
Yes, they will have, because they need to have their perspective of how they've already lived. And so they're going to have the skills to be able to survive and inspire others. And they are going to be so grateful for what they now have, which is open homes to many. So they will, when they do connect to others, they're going to have this amazing perspective of what are you complaining about? We're alive, we're warm. This is the most comfortable I've been in years, like, and they're going to force people to see a positive for the scenarios that they're in.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful. Yes, thank you. Okay. Um, and can you tell us how long people will be driving cars around?
They will try to do it for as long as they can. There will be the petrol stations will not be functioning because it relies on electricity. So it's going to be about siphoning. There are people that have accessibility to bigger storage tanks of fuel, and so it's not going to be as scarce as you think. And so people can travel, but it is some people do travel quite a distance, but others don't travel very far. They don't want to leave their familiarity. They don't want to leave their homes. They still want to keep things as routine and as normal as possible. They feel very attached to their homes because of their family and their memories there. That is very purposeful as well.
Okay, thank you. When there are people together, is it groups of just like four people for for the most part, or is it like groups of maybe 12 or 20, or are there people that are just by themselves?
There are some people who are by themselves who get profound inner work done. There is groups of two, three, four, and we can see the largest sort of group being around 30. But it is very significant who meets who and what happens with the roles that they play. So again, we see it as all different versions of the same play being played out on purpose for those experiences that they desperately need to have to be able to advance themselves.
Okay, so the people that are there just like single, um, that's gonna be so strange. They're Are they gonna be staying for a long time, or no, because they will work through their inner work so fast?
Yes and no. People's connections do inspire growth. And so, a small group could power all through their inner work together much faster than potentially one person who is very stubborn. So it is supporting each other. People like to grow in teams, and when you realize that there is a task and that there is something to do, then people want to excel in that and be praised for that. And when you're in groups, you want to be seen as being a good doer. do-gooder. And so you must, put chip in and help out and be a part of something that is greater than yourselves. And so it's potentially the bigger groups that will encourage and inspire more faster growth than the smaller groups that will want to hear about each other's total lives. And it's it's a difference with the depth of relationships that they need to have. Are you complete strangers, or are you some family that know each other already? The dynamics are so diverse, very purposeful, as we've said.
Okay, great. And the people that have families in other countries, they are not going to have a way of finding out if their family members or friends in other countries are still on old Earth, right?
Some will, some won't, and that is purposeful. So again, all the scenarios that could be played out will be the most appropriate.
Okay. Okay. Um, so is there anything else we should know about old Earth?
I think we have explained it enough for those who are curious about it to accept that this is contractual, and acceptance and not judging and not going into fear is the most appropriate for your position in viewing this.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Um, so do you have a final message for us?
Find joy and laughter in everything and don't stop. If you find something funny, watch it over and over again. And never forget the funniest ones that you've seen, and repeating something that you have enjoyed once has great value in it. Find laughter, feel the joy, feel excited, because even when it is all done and dusted, humanity and its closure is going to be a celebration for all.
Yes, I bet. That's wonderful. Thank you.